Well, folks, with the Whitfield Report in its 5th season and me starting my 14th year of podcasting in 2021, I figured now would be as good time as any to start a Patreon page for the podcast. And I know everyone these days has a Patreon page who is a podcaster, but let me tell you what you're going to get if you decide to join the Whitfield Report Patreon. At the $1 level, you'll simply be contributing. That'll simply be a way of saying thank you, and I appreciate it. But that's that. However, at the $3 level on up, you're going to be getting access to an exclusive podcast that I'm hoping to do weekly called the Savage Express Podcast. And on that podcast, exclusive to Patreon subscribers and supporters, I'll be covering music and movies and pop culture and personally and anecdotes in ways that I can't cover on YouTube or traditional podcast platforms. I'm hoping to do this every week. I might not, but it'll certainly be a longer form podcast for those types of topics if you're interested in that sort of thing. And I also might be re-releasing some episodes of the Whitfield Analysis, my old podcast, re-releasing the back catalog, as it were, digging out some old video clips that I've had in archive for years, and posting all of that exclusively to the Patreon site for you guys. It's going to be a good time, and there are a couple of different tiers you can join in at. I understand if you can't join the Patreon, but if you're able to financially support the show and you want to help out, joining the Patreon would be the best way to do that. So I encourage you to go to patreon.com/Whitfield Report and sign up on one of the tiers today. And again, folks, I want to thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And hopefully, I can look forward to your financial contribution, which I deeply appreciate as well. God bless, folks, and God, freedom, legacy in that order. Alrighty then, folks, good evening and welcome to the Whitfield Report and Merry Christmas. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, broadcasting live here from South Florida, and I want to thank you all for joining us here tonight at NGC Studios. And who is the us? Well, it's me, and then we have Dictator. We don't have Dictator Phil. We have
Dictator Gamma, bitch. How we doing, Sammy?
We have the real Dictator here. So, and apparently we have an imposter Apex Gamma too
in the chat. Yeah, well, I'm the imposter, according to the imposter.
We also have a Storm of Wrenches in the chat. We have Major Victory, who is not an asshole, contrary to what Semper says. Maybe Semper's the asshole. Does anyone know?
Wait, time out. Can we ask chat? Do I sound like a fucking robot like I did last night? And nobody said anything.
No, no, you
No,
sound.
well, I sounded fine to you, but during the playback and apparently during the stream, I'm like fucking. I don't know if you've listened back to that the stream from last night, but like I'm all glitchy sounding. No, not that,
Thanos.
not that. Like my regular talking, not glitching out. That do I sound normal? I guess chat. Stop talking about pegging and do I sound normal or no? Like, do I sound like a robot? Yeah, sound was terrible last night. Is it good? Okay, it's good now.
Major Victory says you're good, and he may be an ass. He may be an asshole according to Sumper, but he's usually accurate. And also, well, of course, Evil Eric is gonna bring up pegging because he is the gayest straight man alive, and I fucking love him for it. But anyway, am I glitching like I did last night? That's another question. I spent like the last 2 hours trying to fix my setup, so I think we're good. But anyway, contact info as usual. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @someday_NGC. Parler and Gab at Sam Whitfield. Facebook.com/Whitfield Report. TheSamWhitfield.com. Please subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts. Spotify, wherever else you get your podcasts, and rumble.com/The Whitfield Report if YouTube decides to shit can us.
Shit can.
And then streamlabs.com/The Whitfield Report if you'd like to contribute to the show financially. If you can, great. If not, that's fine too. But please hit that fucking like button and share the stream. Anyway, folks. Will the Supreme Court of the United States deliver a Christmas miracle? Let's just hit this one out of the park. And Apex pretty much read my mind on that one. Honestly, I don't know. What do you mean my forearm is moving? My forearm is always moving. Evil Eric. In fact, now I am tempted to move my hands the entire show because I'm Italian, which I do anyway. But they're always under my desk, so you can't ever see it. But I mean, in my view, I mean, our best options are for pretty much at this point the only chance Trump actually has to win is if the Supreme Court says, nope, go back and recount everything. It will be very interesting to see how Justice Clarence Thomas handles this whole thing, because that Clarence Thomas fucking hates Joe Biden. Like nobody's business. So Clarence Thomas probably has a hate boner for Biden, and he's just looking forward to getting his revenge on Biden for the Coke can incident back in the 90s that didn't happen.
Well, I mean, as much as I appreciate the meme, I hope that's not how SCOTUS works. That they can, hold and enact grudges at the
Right.
highest court of the land, you know. But that's just me.
Well,
I mean, sweet justice being served, yeah, judiciously. I mean, I don't know if, uh, yeah, I don't know.
no,
Play devil's advocate.
you bring up a good point. Um, I mean, I so at this point, I honestly can't predict. I see all these quote unquote news websites from the right saying that it's going to be, that the Supreme Court is definitely going to reverse the election in favor of Trump. And then I see all these left wing websites saying, oh, they're definitely going to certify it for Biden. And the truth is we don't know what they're going to do until they do something. And I believe that decision, I thought we were going to get something today on their decision, but apparently it's on
We did.
on the
I
14th.
thought. Did they not? Did SCOTUS not dismiss the lawsuits
They dismissed
or the?
they dismissed the Texas lawsuit, but they haven't dismissed the whole entire thing yet, I don't think.
Spira says move the camera down, Sammy. When you see them hand movements, when you see what's going on down there. I agree with Spira.
I mean, I can bring my hands back up. So
I don't know what to do with my hands.
So, by the way, I think this is the first time I've worn a sweater on stream, or at least this one.
Bullshit! You had a fucking turtleneck on, looking like Steve Jobs not that long ago.
Yeah, that was
Not a sweater. Was it not a sweater, Sammy?
that was a few weeks ago, actually.
Oh, right. But you just said this is the first time you've ever worn a sweater. I said bullshit. Sorry.
No, you're right, and I'm wrong on this one.
Sorry, man. Not trying to be like that. But anyway, so yeah, the Texas lawsuit thrown out. But anyway, I feel like you were thrown off by your sweater. What? Did you finish your point?
And Evil Eric says that the Texas lawsuit was all of them, and if Safari will properly project the screen.
Yeah, I thought the same thing as Eric just said. I thought they booted the whole idea out for some particular reason. I need to hold on. Here's a moral quandary. Have you ever, you out there in the audience, have you ever come home and hope that your roommate has committed suicide? Well, you shouldn't, because that's a terrible thing to think. What the fuck's wrong with you? Anyway, where are you at, Sam?
I am trying to find an article that is not the New York Times, but I can't find any. So unfortunately, folks, I am sorry to make your eyes bleed, but the article I had isn't popping up. So we're going with the New York New York Slimes here, and I will fucking make fun of the New York Slimes.
Post it in chat or in Discord.
Oh yeah. by the way, that's the other thing that's happening now. Discord is starting to delete links to questionable news websites. At least I've noticed on my end.
Yeah. Questionable.
What's so questionable about this show, I wonder?
Well, I mean, probably me.
And my haircut. I'll admit my hair is looking pretty bad.
Mine as well.
Yeah.
Do you want me? Are you gonna read this?
Yep.
Or you want? Okay.
I'm gonna read it and then, or at least try and read part of it, and then, before I projectile vomit because it's the New York Times.
Well. All right.
And then we'll see what happens. Evil Eric in the chat goes to answer your question. He says, "I'm pretty sure everyone wants their roommate dead unless they have sex."
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Good answer.
John Lowe says, "Who cut your hair, Amy?" Well, I haven't had a haircut in a while, but nah.
Did you drink some of it in your coffee on stream?
No.
Do you remember that video? Maybe not. I got in one of my videos back in the day from sometime last year. Owen getting a haircut on stream, and Amy cuts his hair while he's taking a drink of coffee, and a thick clump of hair falls in his fucking cup.
Oh yeah.
He takes a drink anyway.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's right.
She's like, "You've got coffee in your hair," or something like that. Anyway.
Evil Eric. Michael J. Fox cut it.
So I've got this up. I'm happy to read it. It's not that long.
Yeah.
It's not that long.
Okay, yeah. Well, I've got it up. If you want to, I've got it up on the screen now.
Well, you go ahead, man. I was just saying. Anyway.
So this is from the New York Slimes. Supreme Court. I'm gonna try and do my best aristocratic stuck-up voice, since that's always how I read the New York Times in my head. Yeah.
So the Supreme Court on Friday. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Supreme Court rejects Texas suit seeking to subvert election. The suit, filed directly in the Supreme Court, sought to bar Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin from casting their electoral votes for Joseph R. Biden Jr., Esquire. Yes. And by Adam Liptick, Washington. The Supreme Court on Friday rejected a lawsuit by those dirty old Texans that asked the court to throw out the election results and inform battleground states that President Trump lost in November, ending any prospect that a brazen attempt to use courts to reverse his defeat at the poll would succeed. The court, in a brief, unsigned order, said Texas lacked standing to pursue the case, saying it had not demonstrated a judiciously cognizable interest in the manner in which another state conducts its elections. The order, coupled with another one on Tuesday turning away a similar request from Pennsylvania Republicans, signaled that a conservative court with 3 justices appointed by Mr. Trump refused to be drawn into the extraordinary effort by the president and many prominent members of his party to deny his Democrat opponent, former Vice President Joseph R. Biden Jr., his victory.
Period. Hold on. Time out. I want to point out the fact that they say the conservative court with the 3 justices appointed by Mr. Trump refused to be drawn in the extraordinary effort by the president, who is President Trump.
Yep.
In the same sentence. In between periods, they call him Mr. Trump and then refer to him as president. Sorry, continue.
Yep. Well, that's how the New York Times rolls. Also, though, notice that they refer to Biden as former Vice President Biden rather than President-elect Biden, right? I mean, I would assume
Office of the President erect.
Well, you might be erect and I might be erect, but I don't think Biden can get. He's like fucking 90 now and needs. Nah, I'm not gonna make that joke. Damn it, now I have to. He needs child's blood in order to get,
Yeah, he's like a 4,000-year-old vampire, dude. I don't know what you're talking about, 90, but.
Have we even seen Biden though lately? He is, or is he still hiding out in a bunker somewhere? I think he's still hiding out.
I mean, he's been out in public. He's been in front of a banner that says "Office of the President-elect." I don't think I've ever seen that. Ever.
I've also seen him I also saw him with like a broken foot and like wearing a cast and whatnot last week. That is real good for the leader of the fucking not so free world anymore. But anyway.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
Back to the aristocrats. Texas's lawsuit filed directly in the Supreme Court challenged election procedures in 4 states: Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Oh, how gauche. It asked the court to bar those states from casting their electoral votes for Mr. Biden and to shift the selection of electors to the state legislators. That would have required the justices to throw out millions of votes. Mr. Trump has said that he expected to prevail in the Supreme Court after rushing the confirmation of Justice Amy Coney Barrett in October in part in the hope that she would vote for Mr. Trump's favor in election dispute. You know, that's a narrative that I've heard the Times run with before. But
right. It kind of falls in line with what you were just saying, though. I mean, like, you know, the idea that these justices, I mean, they may. I mean, I don't think fucking RGB was impartial. I don't think that any of them are entirely impartial, but I mean, I really don't see. I don't know. I just really don't see any of them bending to the tide. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, dude. Anyway.
Well, what's interesting is the article here says that Trump nominated Amy Coney Barrett in October in the hope that she would vote for Mr. Trump in favor of election disputes, but I don't remember Trump saying anything disputing the election, back in October.
Well, the very next paragraph here says, quote, "I think this will end up in the Supreme Court," end quote. Mr. Trump said of the election a few days after Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death in September. And I think it's very important that we have 9 justices. So
yeah, but yeah, that's not the exact same phrasing as what the Times is saying now. Anyway.
no, of course, it's literally a paragraph apart, but that's what they say. I mean, that was kind of the point I was making.
Yeah,
That's not what they say. It's not what he says. It's a classic Trump spin, you know.
he was right that an election dispute would end up in the Supreme Court, but he was quite wrong to think that the court, even after he appointed a third of its members, would do his bidding. And with the Electoral College to me on Monday, Mr. Trump's efforts to change the outcome of the election will soon be at an end. Now, that right there is editorializing what they're doing. That's not actually... Whoever wrote this article, that's editorializing right there in that paragraph.
Well, it's really fucking sick, actually, the way that this is written. 'Cause I don't read much New York Times, but
Neither do I. It is
it's incredible.
It is amusing though, in a weird way, to be reading this.
Not, I mean, I don't really, because it makes so much sense to me why so many people that I care about and consider to be, you know, not mental fucking retards are, you know, have, you know, bitten hook, line, and sinker on so many things, because it's like, words are important, man, and when you can use them cleverly enough in a wide enough spectrum, it becomes propaganda. You know, that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And Mr. Trump, I'm looking at the screen right here, and I can see Mr. Trump 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in 2 paragraphs. You know,
Yeah, and
Mr. Trump. It's just,
and I don't think they've ever. I mean, I remember even as a kid, the Times used to do the same thing with Bush. It was never President Bush. It was always Mr. Bush.
okay. So then there's precedent, at least, for that, and that's okay. Well, that at least makes it a little better in my mind.
Well, there is precedent, but it seems to be only on one side, too. They don't, at least as far as I've noticed.
Oh, okay. So yeah, like the liberal. So any right leaning politician is Mr., not, you know, Mr. their last name, and not the president or whatever.
Yep.
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yep. In other words, the Times could not stop filleting Barack Obama when he was POTUS. I'm sorry, Barack Hussein Obama, as he needs to be referred.
There you go.
As he needs to be referred to. I mean, fuck. If we're gonna go on, if YouTube's gonna ban us, we might as well, you know, start.
Dude, bro, we're literally reading a fucking New York Times article. If we get banned for that, I mean, there's no hope.
Well, we're questioning the election results, Apex.
No, we're literally reading an article.
I know, but see, we're the evil right wingers. So,
well, the next paragraph here is Mr. Trump's campaign did not immediately issue a statement. In an appearance on the conservative network Newsmax soon after the decision was announced, Rudolph Giuliani, Mr. Trump's personal lawyer, said that the campaign's legal effort would continue, insisting that his team had originally planned for, quote, 4 or 5 separate cases, end quote. Quote, "We're not finished, believe me," end quote, he said with a laugh at the end of the interview. The president, who at a White House Hanukkah party earlier in the week eagerly mentioned the pending court case in his remarks, was scheduled to attend another holiday party around the time the ruling came down. About around 8:30 p.m., guests were informed that Mr. Trump would not be coming down from the residence to speak. Mr. Trump weighed in later on Twitter. The Supreme Court really let us down. No wisdom, no courage. Friday's orders were not quite unanimous. Justice Sam Alito Jr., joined by Justice Clarence Thomas, issued a brief statement on a technical point. But it was nonetheless a comprehensive rebuke to Mr. Trump and his allies. It was plain that the justices had no patience for Texas' attempt to enlist the court in an effort to tell other states how to run their elections. The majority ruled that Texas could not file its lawsuit at all. The state of Texas, quote, the state of Texas motion for leave to file a bill of complaint is denied for lack of standing, end quote, the court said. So basically, SCOTUS said Texas can get fucked, right? Texas and everybody that runs with them, they have no place within this whatever the United States is. I mean, it was founded as a republic, but whatever the fuck this democracy is supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, one state can't file a lawsuit against the other states. I mean, so anyway, should we keep reading, or do you want to keep reading?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yep. The majority ruled that Texas could not file its lawsuit at all. The state of Texas's motion for leave to file a bill of complaint is denied for lack of standing, the court's order said. Justice Alito, taking a slightly different approach, wrote that the court was not free immediately to shut down lawsuits filed by states directly in the court. In my view, he wrote, we do not have discretion to deny the filing of a bill of complaint in a case that falls within our original jurisdiction. But that was as far as those two justices were willing to go. Quote, I would therefore grant the motion to file the bill of complaint, but would not grant other relief, Justice Alito wrote. And I have expressed no view on any other issue. Some of President Trump's I'm going to change it.
Thank you.
Some of President Trump's advisors had anticipated that the court would give the president and Republican attorneys and the Republican attorney generals something that could be characterized as supportive in the form of dissent or a lengthy commentary. Instead, there was simply the brief statement from the two justices. Mike Gwynn, a spokesman for the Biden campaign, said that the Supreme Court had, quote, decisively and speedily rejected the latest of Donald Trump and his allies' attacks on the democratic process. Oh, you mean how like you were using rigged voting machines to steal the election? You mean
how the last 4 years have been spent crying about fake fucking accusations of etc.
Yeah. President-elect Biden's clear commanding victory will be ratified by the Electoral College on Monday, and he will be sworn in on January 20th, Mr. Gwynn said. What a weird last name, Gwynn. Just have to put that out there. Sounds gay.
Dude, are you streaming to D-Live right now too, or no?
No, just YouTube. Why?
Oh, okay. Well, I was just curious because I was going to say there's some boys that need mod spots over there.
Uh,
We'll talk about that later.
yeah, Restream is still kind of, I've got to fix that. So, despite the court ruling, Mr. Trump's campaign plans to continue describing the election outcome as illegitimate. On Friday night, it was announced that it would be running ads on YouTube, which has started accepting political ads again after a moratorium making that very case. Well, thank God I have YouTube Premium, so I can skip that.
Must be nice.
It's very nice.
So, in the Texas case, the Supreme Court received more than a dozen friend of the court briefs and motions seeking to intervene from President Trump, from coalitions of liberal and conservative states, from politicians, and from scholars. So, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me read that again. In the Texas case, the Supreme Court received more than a dozen friend of the court briefs and motions seeking to intervene from President Trump, from coalitions of liberal and conservative states, from politicians, and from scholars. So, okay, well, more than a dozen could be 500. It could be 15,000. It's just more than 12. We know that. But there's no clickable link there, so I don't know. I don't know exactly how many. But that's a weird, like right in your face admission of like, so yeah, there a bunch of people sent in some, I don't know, man, bipartisan support from a coalition of liberal and conservative state.
Yeah.
Anyway, among them was a brief filed by more than 100 House Republicans who fell in line to claim that general election, the same one in which most of them were reelected, had been, quote, riddled with an unprecedented number of serious allegations of fraud and irregularities, end quote. More than a dozen Republican state attorneys general expressed similar support on Wednesday. So, okay, another more than a dozen. Legal experts almost universally dismissed Texas's suit as an unbecoming stunt in evoking the Supreme Court's, quote, original jurisdiction, end quote. Texas asked the justices to act as a trial court to settle a dispute between states, a procedure theoretically possible under the Constitution, but employed sparingly, typically in cases concerning water rights or boundary disputes. So, holy shit! I can't even fucking. Should I keep reading, or you want to talk about that?
I can take over, but yeah, let's talk.
No, go ahead.
Let's talk about that real quick, though. So, I mean, who are these legal experts? That's what I want. That's what I want to know. First of all.
Well, okay, so in the same. Wait, hold on. Okay, it's not in the same paragraph, but from the end of one paragraph to the next, more than a dozen Republican state attorneys generals expressed similar concerns on Wednesday. New paragraph, legal experts almost universally dismissed. So there's not like, so almost universally. What the fuck? There's not even like a starting number to that. Whereas more than a dozen, as they've used a couple of times within the last few paragraphs, there's a starting point, 12 or more people who are real. These legal experts who are ambiguous at the start, almost universally, even more ambiguous.
Yeah.
Well, I'm right there with you.
Well,
that's why.
And at least they identify in the previous paragraph that more than a dozen state Republican attorney attorneys
my
general.
point.
Yeah.
That's my point, though, man. Is like there is a number, there's a starting point to that. Like there's 12 or more for sure. But when you say almost universally, legal experts almost universally, that isolated in and of itself is you can't get any more ambiguous. Who? What legal experts? How many of them? Almost universally. So every legal expert across the board, almost universally, like 99% of every legal expert in the country, in the world. What are we talking about? They don't fucking specify because it sounds better in that little parentheses there, man. That was the point that I was trying to make. They use the language is absurd, but anyway, go on.
But
In a series of briefs where we are.
But it sounds fancy for the aristocrats. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: the New York Times and the readers are in a. I mean, I hate to reference the other show, but they're in a hug box of their own, creating word salads and whatnot. In a series of briefs filed Thursday, the 4 states that Texas sought to sue condemned the effort. Quote, the court should not abide by this seditious abuse of the judicial process and should send a clear and unmistakable signal that such abuse must never be replicated, a brief for Pennsylvania said. And I guess there's a link to this brief.
Skip it.
Yeah. On Friday morning, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton responded with his own brief. Whatever Pennsylvania's definition of sedation, he wrote, quote, moving the court to cure grave threats to Texas's rights of suffrage in the Senate and its citizens, rights of suffrage in the presidential election, upholds the Constitution, which is the very opposite of seditions. Claims that the election was tainted by widespread fraud have been debunked by Mr. Trump's own Attorney General, William Barr, who said this month that the Justice Department had uncovered no voting fraud on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election.
Hold on, time the fuck out. Once again on the language, that is a misquote from Barr, who is a fucking worthless chunk of goddamn flesh anyway. But they literally in that quote are saying that the Attorney General admits that there's fraud, just not enough on a scale that could have affected a different outcome. Literally in that quote. Had uncovered no voting fraud, quote, on a scale that could have affected a different outcome in the election, end quote. That's okay, so there's fraud, just not enough fraud. Right fucking there. That's what they're saying, right? Am I reading that wrong?
Yeah, well, and that's the other excuse we keep hearing is, oh, there's fraud in every election, but it's not enough to really affect the outcome of the election. And it's like, what? That's crazy. Let's see. Some 20 states led by Democrats in a briefing supporting the 4 battleground states urged the Supreme Court to, quote, reject Texas's last-minute attempt to throw out the results of an election decided by the people and securely overseen and certified by its sister states. But wait, the 2016 election was not securely overseen and certified, right? That's the narrative that they were running with in 2016, that the election was compromised by Russia. that's all we were hearing about from 2016 right up until this year. So the election is secure when their guy wins, but not when the big bad orange man wins. So let's see. Georgia, which Mr. Biden won by less than 12,000 votes out of nearly 5 million cast, said in its brief that it handled its election with integrity and care. Quote, this election cycle, the brief said, Georgia did what the Constitution empowered it to do. It implemented the process for the election, administered the election in the face of logistical challenges brought on by COVID-19, and confirmed and certified the election results again and again and again. Yet Texas has sued Georgia anyway. So they're trying to make Texas out to be the evil big bad guy in this scenario.
Well, I hate to, I really don't even want to, but like the jokes of secession were laughed at when President Trump got elected by all the liberal states, but they're all pussies. I could see a new union being formed, the South rising again in both the North and the South.
Yep, I mean,
all the Republican states being like, fuck you, you're cool, I'm out. I mean,
well,
it's a pipe dream.
Well, dude, I mean, that's what Storm Wrenches and Eric have been saying in the chat roughly for the last couple months, and they, might be right. I mean, I don't see how, politically at least, how the West Coast and in the South could really get along. I mean, the coastal cities hate our guts.
No, they don't even. It's not even the South, man. The coastal cities hate the Midwest, and the Midwest doesn't really hate anybody, generally speaking. Well, I mean, they hate plenty of people, but like the whole center of the country, including the South Coast, they're not. It's a different. I don't know, man. Like it really does feel like different countries, especially being from Texas. I don't know, man. Like, I think that diversity, quote, diversity is our strength, end quote, will be the laughingstock of any future civilizations that exist to reminisce on our stupidity.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Anyway. Where are you at there? Starting even before Election Day? Is that where you're at? Are we gonna finish?
Yep. We're almost done. So let's see. Starting even before Election Day, President Trump and his Republican allies have filed nearly 6 challenges to the handling, casting, and counting of votes in courts in at least 8 different states. They generally lost those cases, often drawing blistering rebukes from the judges who heard them. Along the way, President Trump has not come close to overturning the election results in a single state, let alone the minimum of 3 he would need to seize victory from pervy Biden. Or Grandpa
Hey, now wait a minute. Credit where credit's due, because they did call him Mr. Biden. I gotta give him that.
Yeah, they should have called him Grandpa Munster though instead. That would have been more appropriate. But the first batch of actions preceded the election and sought to end or pare back voting measures that states across the country had put in place to deal with the coronavirus crisis. So here we go. This all comes back to the Rona, which, by the way, Apex, how are you feeling today? Any cough? Any congestion?
I feel sick to my fucking stomach. But no, I'm good.
COVID. You've got the COVID, son, if you're sick to your stomach.
No, I work at a company that is trying desperately to straddle the line when the last bastions of corporate America, I would say, even though that's a joke in and of itself.
Yeah.
I listened to a long thing today that I have to make all my employees listen to. Of some fucking random dude explaining science and how, the misconception about the vaccines usually take years, but scientists, these companies, pharmaceutical companies, have paid companies across the world to work on the vaccine while they're testing. All the while we're being told that it's an evolving situation, which is why it's so scary. Like it's changing all the time. We can't figure it the fuck out. But they've figured out a vaccine. That's why they've cut it. They've figured out a vaccine alongside with testing, which is why it seems so out of place. I'm just waiting for them to be like, so you're gonna have to take this vaccine to get your paycheck. Like it seems to be the route people are going at this point. I don't think any companies in this country so far have openly discussed that, but I've seen articles just talking about it in Europe and shit.
Well, actually, this might be a good point to actually bring up the vaccine. I mean, I think the general point of this article, from what I'm reading, is
we've got it.
SCOTUS isn't going to do jack shit at least in favor of Trump. So, disappointing, yes, but am I shocked by it? No, not really. I saw, it doesn't lessen the sting, but can't say I wasn't expecting this. But yeah, what?
I lost you for a second.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I left it on back, so yeah, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, we as long as we don't Thanos, yeah, and make static and noises, we should be good. But
yeah, I took my headset off a while ago because I think it's taken a shit on me, because ever since I unplugged it, you've not sounded glitchy to me. You were sounding glitchy with the headset on, so.
Interesting.
Yeah, I need to get my DAW so I can get my fucking microphone and talk sexy to the people.
Well, you sound sexy to me, Apex.
Oh, thank you, Sam. Anyway, what's next?
And you're welcome, Alan. Please feel free to clip that. So, Major Victory in the chat goes, so we don't want another techno rave?
Remix.
Well, I can make a remix using Logic Pro, but I don't. Yeah. But I don't think that's exactly what you have in mind. Or I can do this thing through Restream, which is what fucked up the connection before. But yeah, I guess this vaccine in Europe, this miracle cure, is giving people Bell's palsy and shit over in the UK.
Yeah, it's gonna fuck people up, dude. It's gonna fuck a lot of people up. I don't think it's like zombie apocalypse type shit, but it's gonna hurt a lot more people than they would have been hurt if they'd just fucking gone outside or gone, and lived their lives normally,
Yep. I would. I mean, I'd rather take my chance. I think at this point, having coronavirus would be would be less shitty than having Bell's palsy.
Well, Sam, I don't think that was ever, at least for me, that was never even an equation.
Yeah.
Because coronavirus is the Wu flu. COVID-19, by all accounts, is not that big of a fucking deal, dude. Like, across the board, statistically speaking, I mean, we've been over this, I know, but, I mean, a virus that has somewhere between a 97.8 and a 99.4% survival rate compared to a vaccine that under limited trials has a 95 or so percent success rate. Like, I suck at math, dude, but I will take my fuck. I think there's over 400 million people that have contracted and recovered from the coronavirus at this point worldwide.
Yeah.
That are recorded. So yeah, I don't buy any of it, dude. I don't buy it. I'll die a weird homeless man in a cardboard box before I fucking submit to this shit.
I won't submit to it either. I mean, the other thing that's real weird, and I'm really sick of people saying this to me, is people think that I'm more susceptible to corona because I'm in a wheelchair. Which, okay, like if I had like a fucking oxygen mask or something on my chair, I could understand that, but my lungs are fine, for the most part. I'm not susceptible to corona. But
well, yeah, I mean, it's not like you're not like immunocompromised. Like your ailments don't, right? I mean, am I wrong about that?
I mean, as far as I know, I'm not immunocompromised, so.
Well, you would know, I would think, at your age.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah, that's my point. I mean, unless something were to come up, I'm not immunely compromised at this point.
All right. So, allegedly Antifa stabbed 2 Trump supporters in Washington today. Is that true? I heard something about that.
Yes. Our second story, and yes, I know it's Breitbart, folks, but let's see what this is all about. Let's go back to let's go back to the browser here. All right. Antifa allegedly stabs 2 Trump supporters in Washington, D.C. Tweeted video shows an Antifa protester alleged stabbing 2 Trump supporters in Washington, D.C. on Saturday night. Additional videos show the man being captured by police after the Trump supporters retaliated and took him to the ground. A pair of videos treated by Mario Gomez repeatedly showed a BLM Antifa allegedly stabs two Trump supporters. So I guess there's video of this. Let's see if it will play for the chat.
Get out! Can't travel that way. Go! Go!
Yeah, run away, you fucking pussy! And it happened. He got stabbed! Medic! 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 He got stabbed! Get a medic! 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 Swarm a kid! I just swarm a kid! Somebody take that. I got you, boy. Hey. We need a medic. Got what? You got stabbed. Got to live. Trauma pad. Trauma pad. Mark. Yeah, that's the day. Hey, you got a medic? You got a medic? Hey, Jeremy, apparently you got stabbed too. He's there. Yeah. Move, guys. Stay back. We're good. Holy shit.
So this guy got stabbed. Holy shit. Oh, it's about to get down. It's about to go down. Oh my god. Oh my god.
So, were you able to see that, Apex? I guess he's on mute. So, yeah, there was part one of the footage. Let's see. Now we have part two of the footage.
Move, guys. Stay back. We're good. Holy shit.
So this guy got stabbed. Holy shit. Oh, it's about to get down. It's about to go down. Oh my god. Oh my god. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Excuse me. 1 second. Yo, somebody got stabbed. I got him on camera.
You got it?
I got him on camera.
Post that shit, brother.
Yeah, I'm like.
So there you have it. I mean, Biden won the election. There have not been any, there have not been any domestic terror attacks by Trump supporters since Biden won, and yet Antifa's still out here stabbing Trump supporters, even though, their guy won. And as you were saying, Gamma, before the show started, from what you've been reading on Twitter, Antifa is Mickey Mouse here compared to Europe.
Yeah, well, I mean, the real thing is there was that leaked Biden audio recently as well, where he basically says he's not going to do shit for these civil rights, these modern civil rights activists, these Black Lives Matter folk. He's not going to enact any, so my point is this shit's not going anywhere. It will be emboldened. And these people that have already been able to burn shit down at will, are not going to get what they thought they were going to get with this election. And this administration and all of those insulated fucks up there at the top are going to watch as we kill each other and we burn fucking everything down. I mean, it's a perfect, it's a near perfect stack of dominoes, man. From my perspective.
Yep.
Not y'all black belt. Wow, there's 4 dislikes on this video, bro.
I wonder by who. Rob, it could either be the Bears or it could be Antifa or it could be bots. Who knows?
It could be that 3.0 faggot.
Yeah, that guy. He seems like a real dick, doesn't he?
Yeah, well, whatever, man.
I mean,
I welcome the criticism, but you gotta come correct in this chat.
I mean, the chat is awesome and is just amusing. Hey, Owen Benjamin Highlights, haven't seen you in a while here. Welcome aboard the Savage Express again, sir. Yeah, that's right, 3.0. I'm talking shit to you. And don't call me a bitch. You're the bitch.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think he's talking to me. He or she, whoever this amorphous wannabe troll is. Anyway, are we done? Were we done with that last story? I'm sorry, dude.
I mean, I kind of made my point, which is, all of the Democrats and all of the Biden people were so worried that, that we were not going to take Biden's victory well, and we were going to be, bombing buildings and, lynching people, and yet, all the Trump supporters have been doing have been peacefully assembling, for the most part, and yet we still continue to get attacked and get stabbed.
Shot.
Yeah.
At random. Where was that at?
That was in Washington. I think that was in Washington, D.C. as well.
Yeah, that Christian Trump supporter. What was it? What was the organization he was part of? He was picked out randomly by a criminal who was then interviewed by Vox.
Oh yeah,
and then got fucking busted. That fucking dude. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Patriot Prayer guy.
Yeah, the Patriot Prayer guy. That's the one.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, my friend.
So, yeah, on to lighter topics though, Apex. This wasn't in the show notes, but I am wondering, have you started celebrating the holidays yet, my friend?
No. Short answer, no. I mean, quite frankly, this current holiday season, it's just means more work. There's very little holiday cheer. I mean, I spread it as much as I can, but I don't have much family, and what I'd have is far away, far and wide. And most of my friends are you faggots on the internet at this point, which tells me I need to get off the internet.
Well, no, don't do that. We love hanging out with you. I was asking that as a lead up to have you watched any Christmas movies yet, or has
Nope.
you're gonna do what I do and wait until the week of Christmas to get all that shit watched?
No, I don't do any of that.
So you don't watch Die Hard for the holiday?
No. The only thing I watch, which I will be hard pressed to do this year, is watch the Woodland Critter Christmas on Christmas Eve, the South Park episode.
That's a classic.
Hail Satan!
I always watch Die Hard on Christmas Eve. And
well, I mean, I had a bunch of like movie traditions and stuff like that, but they all died with people. So
I will say this: it feels weird celebrating Christmas in Florida to begin with, but it feels extra weird this year. Just because of all the shit going on.
Well, yeah, man. It is really weird because it seems like every single person I talk to, both in real life and on the internet, in any kind of private sphere, I mean, save for a very select few, everyone has the same idea. Everyone is in a similar boat. I mean, this year's been fucking rough, and I think that's I would argue that's kind of been the point. So many smart people, as I've mentioned, that I know, like smart fucking, that are hook, line, and sinker on so many things that, I mean, yeah, they've educated me on a thing or two before, but they're ideologically driven now. And because they're so smart, they think their ideas are correct because they've gotten them from elsewhere. And you cannot, I don't have the ability apparently to, break those shackles around them to be like, well, wait, maybe you're being misled. Maybe, maybe you're being misled. Maybe emotions have gotten the better of you for a change. Maybe your intellectual side is fooling you. I'm not smarter than you. I'm not smarter than anybody. Really. children, perhaps, depending on their their age and their acumen. But the point is that, like, I mean, everyone. It has been a really hard year. It's been a really even. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum I think that you're on. It's been exhausting. I mean, I think for anyone that is a fan or supporter of the current president, President Trump, it's been a little. There's been a little more. It's been a little more fun, I guess, if you're willing to laugh.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, generally speaking, it's been exhausting because if you support the president, I personally have endured 3.5 years of everybody I know and care about being like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yep.
Why are you a Nazi? Why don't you see? Don't you see how bad this man is?" You know, and variations of that. So, I mean, we're at, again, the conspiracy mind in me is like, this is just too perfect. It's too perfect the way it's all lined up. I mean, one of the more convincing, quote unquote, left wing conspiracies that I have heard is from my closest friend. And he's like, Donald Trump would not be in office if the quote unquote puppet masters didn't want him there. Like, okay, so sow division and build a base and start another fucking civil war. I don't know.
I mean, for any other president, I might be able to agree with your friend's statement, but man, as Dictator Phil was talking on the show last week on the Sunday show, the establishment really did not want Trump in the White House on either side. Hell, the Republican Party ran. The Republican Party tried to run that goofy CIA Mormon dude. That was, what, I can't remember the guy's name, but even the Republican establishment tried to run some guy against Trump, like, right before he got elected. And, like, as I was saying a few weeks ago, like, what's also unbelievable to me is that, like, my second cousin pretty much disowned me after the 2016 election. But now because Biden is president, now she wants to call and text me and be like, "Hey, I'm sorry I disowned you. That was a little rough. Let's reconnect. Let's find common ground now." And it's like, no, bitch, you don't get to choose to come back into my life now that your guy has won. The time for you to call and apologize was after the election, or after my uncle died or after my grandpa died, not now when your guy won, quote unquote.
Okay, so now everything is okay. Now we can be friends again because now I can lord my person over you, even though you weren't necessarily lording your person over me. I just didn't agree with it. So I've disowned you for the last 4 years, but now I can shame you, and you can be a pawn in my game of virtue signaling against people that I ideologically just fucking agree with. Man, like, that's what I'm saying. I feel like people like that I don't know the person you're referring to. You know them infinitely more than I ever could.
Yeah,
But-
and I can
but-
I can fill you in on all the
But
juicy
no. I
details.
mean, I don't need you. I don't need you to. But the point that I'm trying to make is that, like, those kinds of people, like, moments like this for sure highlight the kinds of people like that you, holy shit, should never have had in your life in the first place. Like, whoa, when shit hits the fan, and you know, in whatever degree they, they turn coat or whatever. But I think the atmosphere right now is not really normal. I don't know.
Well,
I mean, I feel like I feel like I'm half delusional and half the only one of the few sane people around me.
yeah.
When I'm like, yeah. I mean, I get where people are coming from on a lot of these points, but the fact that nobody seems to understand the other side, there's a lot of that going on. It's like whatever people I talk to don't, they don't, like, they can't get it. They don't get the other side of they've taken a firm stance on a political stage that they've never really stood on before, but now they feel the need to, and they can't, it's the other, the idea of the other, the counter narrative to your own, which is the enemy. It's evil, all encompassed. It's like, I mean, that definitely exists, dude. Like the evil, the evil for sure.
Oh yeah.
Exists. But it's like, it's so I just think it's so dangerous to just whitewash everything in that way.
What's really interesting is, as you know, I've had the Whitfield Report, or rather this show. It's been titled different things over the years, but I've pretty much had the show in different formats over the years since I was a teenager. And I mean, I've been very open about the fact that I'm kind of like conservative-ish, libertarian-ish, whatever you want to call it. So it shouldn't be that it shouldn't have been that shocking to this person, who is a member of my own, family, a blood relative technically. It should not have been this shocking to the person I was going to vote for Trump anyway. It's not like I hid that from them. And then, after the election, that's when the disownment came, and she was just like, I am shocked and I am outraged that such a nice, and caring person such as yourself could vote for such a monster, like Donald Trump, who hates women, and, she basically used like every single left-wing platitude in the fucking book. Yeah, exactly. But see, and that's the kicker too, because she's like, she called me nice, she called me a sweetheart and a nice and caring individual, and yet she fucking disowned me because of my, political views. And I mean, I wasn't even, like, I didn't even try and try and negotiate with her and be like, oh no, please don't disown me. I was like, it was more like, my response was, wow, I would never disown you because of your political views, but I would never disown you because of your political views, but you're going to disown me because I simply expressed that I'm glad that my candidate won the presidency, back in 2016. It's your loss, not mine. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, dude. Again, I feel like I am delusional in a sense. I feel like I'm living in an old world mentality. Like I feel like I've been trained most of my adult life for the idea of separating from the norm, both socially, politically. Conspiracy theories abound, and all that shit. Both outrageous and ones that turned out to be true. Like, not conspiracy theories, like, fact. They used to be conspiracy theories, now they're fact. There's a ton of them. But yeah, like, now that I feel like the tide is shifting so hard. It's weird for me at this point in my life to be like, okay, I'm not just like old and delusional. Like, this is really fucked up. And I've mentioned it before that in this little bitty ass town that I live in the middle of the cornfields, there's a lot of veterans that I am, associated with. I'm on a first name basis with, friendly with. I see them in public at the grocery store or at the bar or where I work. And unanimously across the board, not one of them is not fucking freaked out by the current political status. Some of them came home from Vietnam. Some of them are so fucking old. They were on ships the tail end of World War II, and
Yeah.
are so fucking old you can barely understand them. But they still, again, I try to be like well, shit, maybe they're just, maybe they're just delusional. All these 20-something fucking random different people in this town that I have talked to separately that all say basically the same thing. Maybe it's just an insulated town mentality. But yeah, man, it's weird. Sammy's been hacked.
No, I mean, I see that, Heavy, but what makes you think I've been hacked? My, everything is fine on my end. Is it simply because I timed out Apex Gamma 3.0 for, being mean to, my lovely co-host, Apex Gamma Reloaded?
Well, I mean, they think they're the real Apex, so God bless their soul. I guess. I don't know. Sammy, what are we talking about now, man? Let's get back to the Whitfield report.
I mean, like I was. Well, I mean, we have been talking out, the Whitfield report and just how crazy this fucking year.
That's true.
How this, fucking year, how crazy this fucking year has been. It's been a crazy fucking year, and honestly, this, I mean, I know I said this before, but for me, doing this show has kind of been therapeutic for me to be able to just, talk about political shit, but also just to vent, on any number of topics and, chat with Apex here and listen to him vent and, when he's needed to and whatnot. And I mean, the whole podcasting format is a lot cheaper than therapy, I think. So, let's see.
Did you muted 3.0? Why did you mute 3.0? What did he say?
I didn't ban him. He should be able to come back. It was only for 300 seconds.
Excuse me.
Unless I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe I fucked something up. I hardly ever hardly mute people. Ever. Unless it's someone like unless it's someone like Carl Green Magic or something. But
Is that not Carl Green Magic? I thought that was.
could be Carl.
I don't know. He's not calling me out for. Well, I haven't said that I'm stoned or drunk since he called me out on that. Because I did say that all the time. Like, oh, I'm fucking stoned, man. I'm fucking drunk. Like a fucking retard. So, thanks,
But
Carl Green Magic.
But just remember, Apex, you're my retard. So.
Yeah, that's on the record. I know.
I am your retard, Sammy.
Because I fucking the fucking leader of goddamn Knob Creek in my skinny little gut. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that brings up my other question. I mean, I guess now would be the good time to start making spiced eggnog and shit, right? I mean, not right now. Obviously, I'm on a stream, but
I mean, probably.
I mean, now is that time of year. So, Kevin Dugan says, I need a hug in the chat. Well, hug box was yesterday, Kevin, and you missed it, I think. So.
Yeah, you missed my glitchy ass voice in the fucking Thanos. Go Nets.
Well, if a eggnog can be spiked and spiced as well. Why not both? Spiked eggnog. But anyway, I don't really have any topics left that
no?
anything that you want to bring up.
Well, no. Not specifically. Other than I should probably get off of the internet. Temporarily. But I love all of you.
Well, sometimes taking a hiatus is good. But other times, I don't know, man. I feel like anytime I take a hiatus from the internet, all this important shit happens. And then I miss it. So, I don't know. But,
yeah. Well, so, I mean, anyway, I think in conclusion, let's say worst case scenario, we'll go the Scorpio route since he's not here to do it for himself, and say, just it's over. The hype. I mean, unless we're gonna fucking take up arms legitimately, which I know plenty of people. I know plenty of people who would, not without a plan. But anyway, like life has to go on. we need to do things. Well, we've got to figure shit out on our own and not worry about the macro. Worry more about the micro, the your inner circle, not internet wise, but your family and friends and community, and figure out if you're in the right place or you need to get the fuck out, or if if you're willing to live under. I mean, we're malleable.
Yeah.
So in conclusion, I have a lot to ramble about. Just put me out of my misery, bro.
Well, I have one final thing to kind of ramble about as well. I was going to do a video on it tomorrow, and I probably still will. I'll do like a more professional video on this that will be shorter, but listen, I've been getting tweets and I've been getting emails from people, and yes, the rumors are true. If you pay attention to the world of podcasting in general, and more specifically comedy, you may or may not know that Dennis Miller, the the comedian slash show host slash podcaster, is retiring and bowing out from politics and from, I guess he's hanging up his comedy microphone just in general after a 40-year career, which is pretty admirable. But his reason for, I guess, retiring is he's 67 and he doesn't want to, as he puts it, he doesn't want to ride this thing into the barn like, Mick Jagger or Keith Richards might. And that's my editorializing there, that last part. But the other thing is he feels he's too old and that he would get too crotchety to be dealing with cancel culture. So he's just kind of taking himself out of the equation, I guess. And I've always expressed an admiration for him, and I'll miss him. I wouldn't say I really have comedy chops per se, but look, if anyone gave me comedy chops, it was him. So I just have to tip my hat to the master, so to speak, and say, Dennis, if you are somehow watching this, thank you for being an inspiration there, and you're a good cat. I've always admired the cut of your jib, and hopefully I'll talk at you down the road. So the final Dennis Miller podcast will be on Tuesday. You may hear a few familiar voices, yours truly among them, and so that will drop on Tuesday. And then who knows, I might get Christian Blatt back on the show and whatnot. So, but anyway, that's I guess that's my soliloquy for Mr. Miller, and wish you the best, sir. But anyway, unless my affable co-host Mr. Gamma has any final remarks, I would just like to say that folks, I wish you a good night, and God bless. God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, order. God, freedom, legacy, in that order, as Mr. John Neary says. And as Mr. Miller might say, as Dennis might say. Folks, that's the news, and I am out of here.